just in case you have a panel interview coming up, I have something I want to share with you that's going to help you control the pace of the interview so that you don't get mentally and physically exhausted. You want to treat this like any other job interview. Instead of one person, it's going to be 6 asking you questions. Though most of the questions are generally going to come from 2 to 3 people. And the others will sit there and they'll kind of act like they know what they're doing, usually. And then the other people who are just sitting there, they're going to jump in and they're going to ask some follow-up questions based off of what someone already asked, just to make it look like they're participating, make themselves look good in front of their boss. Now, these techniques, these really work best if you're in a face-to-face interview, but you can also apply them to virtual interviews too, because that's what a lot of interviews are these days. But all you need to do is control the pace of the interview so that you're not constantly bombarded with their questions. Is just answer their questions, as they come up, as you would in any normal interview. But when you answer a question, make sure that you first look around the room and include everyone else. You see, you want to keep panning your head around while you talk and make eye contact with everyone to keep them all engaged in the conversation. You see, first you want to start off by answering your question directly to the person who asked it. And then you want to pan your head around the room. Now again, you're not going to do this in a virtual interview, but if you're sitting there in a boardroom meeting, you want to pan your head around and look at everyone, make eye contact with them, make them feel like they're included with the conversation. And then when you're done with your answer, finish it up by looking at the person who asked it. And what you want to do is control the pace of the interview. You want to take notes and drink water because they are going to bombard you with questions. And just doing these 2 things are like little pauses. And if you're taking a sip of water or you're writing something down, they're not going to bother you because it's rude to ask questions, when someone's drinking water or taking notes, so they're going to wait for you to finish. And you want to use these pauses to your advantage. This is going to slow them down from hitting you with a barrage of questions, and it's going to allow you to take a rest, that mental break that you need in between questions. Now, this might be harder on a virtual interview, unless they can actually see, if you're drinking water, make sure that they see that you're drinking it on the screen, and that way they'll know not to ask you a question. At least hopefully not. But when you do this, it's going to help you make a more positive impression on your interviewers, and it's going to keep you from getting, fatigued. Because if you're in an interview for, let's say 2 hours, even an hour, it's exhausting. It is literally mentally exhausting. I've walked out of interviews just feeling like I ran a marathon. It was that grueling. And it's just, answering all these questions, and they hit you with all these hard ones, and it's like they never give you a break. It's just hard question after hard question after hard question. And then you're fatigued. And then, after you're 2 hours into the interview and they start asking you some more questions, and you can barely answer them, and then they're like, well, I don't know if you're right for this position. You're like, but I'm tired. So that's a perfect way to kind of keep yourself from getting burned out in the interview, is control the pace of the interview. Drink some water, control the pace, take some notes, and also ask them questions. Push it back on them. If they ask you a question, maybe you have a follow-up question at that time, and then just ask it right back at them. And that will put the spotlight on them, and it will give you a break from having to think and talk about answering more questions. So that's all I have for you in this short video. Actually, I have something else to help you go a little bit farther in your interview, because you're going to have to know how to answer their questions. This little book here is the top 10 questions for job interviews, and you can get this no charge to you from jobinterviewtools.com/top10. Just put in your name, email address, tell me where to send it, I'll get it right out. It's going to cover a lot of the common questions. It's going to tell you what interviewers are looking for and how to answer those questions. It also has about 14 questions in it that you might want to ask your interviewer. And those questions aren't meant for you to ask every one of them verbatim, but to kind of stimulate your own mind so that you can come up with your own list of questions that are important for you. Because the questions that I have and the questions that you need answers to are probably 2 different things. But I guarantee these are going to stimulate your mind into helping you come up with some other questions that are good for you, questions that you need to know the answers to. So get this book. I think it's going to help you out a lot. And that's all I have for you. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.